Hi, I'm going to talk about open source. Not necessarily any of the wonderful topics we've heard today, but you can tell I'm in open source because I have the stickers on my laptop, right? Like that's what we do. I am Elizabeth. It's really great to see everyone here. Look at all these wonderful people. I didn't know it was going to be such a big room. I thought it was just going to be smaller, so I'm a little nervous. You guys are going to get a good talk. I have been in open source a very long time. I am an independent contractor, but I do work for the Chaos Project as the community manager right now. And as Lisa said, I am a nature photographer, so that's really fun. That's my happy place, is in the woods. And I am also a Cincinnati Bengals fan, and they're playing right now. They're playing the Eagles. The score is tied. So if anybody is keeping track of that and they score while I'm up here, please raise your hand and let me know. I would just be really happy about that. So just keep track for me. So before I start, I just want to give a quick overview of Chaos, just so you have a little more context from which I speak. Chaos, let me just take a step back. Has anybody heard of Chaos? I know some folks right here. Hi guys, how are you? So Chaos, this is what it stands for, Community Health Analytics Open Source Software. And we are an open source project, part of the Linux Foundation. We focus on open source community health. So not public health, we're not looking at vaccination rates, we're not looking at things like that. We are focused on what makes a healthy open source community. So we spend a lot of time thinking about how we can track and measure and define those things and build metrics around them to give insights for community managers or maintainers, or even if you're depending on another project, you might want to know a little bit more about the sustainability of that project before you put all your eggs in that basket. So that's what we spend a lot of time thinking about at the project. And we do have a few software packages within the Chaos umbrella that help you get that data from GitHub or GitLab or wherever your community is interacting. But we are a whole lot more than just software. And so I wish I had more than 15 minutes. I'd tell you all about it all day long. But we do have a booth. It's on the other side of the building, but it's on this floor. So I'll be here all week. I almost said all weekend, all week. So just swing by the Chaos booth and I'll be more than happy to chat with you about that. We are a global community. We call ourselves Chaotix, which is, it's pretty accurate. But here are some of our wonderful members. We have chapters in Asia, in Africa. We have a very large chapter in Africa. We have a chapter in Latin America, in the Balkans, and then also the usual suspects that I call North America and Europe. So we are all over the place. We are very friendly. We're a very, very fun community, and that's mostly because I'm selfish, and I don't want to be in a community that isn't a lot of fun to be in, because you could be doing anything with your time. So we always just say, come hang out with us. We'll have a blast. It'll be great. We are growing quite quickly, I think. I've been with the project since 2020. And in 2021, we officially went to Slack. We had 150 members. Now we have about 2,300 members. We have a lot more working groups. We have a lot of stuff going on at Chaos. So that's also challenging for me as a community manager, right? Like that's a little bit challenging. It's wonderful. I love to see it, but it's also challenging. So here's some of the things that I work on as a community manager. I do a lot of coordination, a lot of facilitation. I do communications, I work on that team, newsletters, facilitating meetings. I care very much about the newcomer experience to our project, so I spend a lot of time onboarding folks, answering questions, helping people find their way. We have a program called Tour Guides, which is a one-on-one session that we can help you find your way in Chaos, because there's a lot to navigate, as I'll talk about in a minute. I do a lot of operational things. I do a lot of outreach. I staff booths like I am at this conference. We're planning a ChaosCon right now. It's going to piggyback with FOSDEM if anyone's going to be over there. You might want to come a little early and you can hang out with us before. And then, of course, I also do the website. So I do a lot of stuff, but you will notice that none of these things are writing code. Right? So I might be biased, but I would like to think that even though I'm not writing code, I am bringing value to the Chaos project. So I hope that I am. I think that I am. And I hope others agree, especially the ones who hired me. Oh, stop. Stop you. These are so nice. Look at you. But there are so many others like me who want to contribute, who have great things to add that don't show up in a PR, right? All of these folks have things to give and have skills to use. So we want to include them, right? Like why wouldn't we? So one of the challenges we have at Chaos is how do we create these opportunities for all these kinds of contributions from all these wonderful people? Because we know that code does not exist in a vacuum, right? I mean, I guess it can, but if it's going to be a serious project, it's going to have an ecosystem around it. It's going to have other pieces of it that are supporting it, that are promoting it, that are documenting it, all of the things. So that's one challenge we have. The second challenge we have is then how do we track and measure these things? You know, we care a lot about metrics at Chaos, so we want them to get counted somewhere. But that is challenging if they're not in a PR. Like nobody's, you know, like this right now. So I would consider this a contribution to Chaos because I'm promoting us in the world. So when other people are giving talks about Chaos and all the wonderful things we're doing, like how do we count that? It's not a PR anywhere. So it's tricky. And then of course, how do we acknowledge and celebrate and elevate those contributions and to make sure everyone knows, you know, about them and that people feel valued? And then finally, how do we let people know all the opportunities that are available, that we've worked so hard to create? We also have to tell people that this is a thing that they can do at Chaos, right? We also have a very large part of our community has never participated in open source at all. This is this first experience they've had with open source. So that is also something that we want to help them understand, how open source works. How do you know, what does a pull request mean? How do you merge it? Like, what is that about? What's the workflow? How do we collaborate with people? Because for some, like they come to our community and now they're collaborating with people all over the world all of a sudden. I mean, that's kind of a different experience for them. So we want to help them on their open source journey as well. So I've thought about this a lot, and this wasn't really on purpose, but this is kind of the buckets. These are the buckets that things fall into. So the first one is grassroots efforts. So, you know, caring about these kinds of contributions is not just my job. It is our community's job. It is our community's challenge. So everybody's thinking about it all the time. It's not just the maintainers, it's not the leaders, it's everybody. We also have developed individual groups. Like I mentioned before, we now have about 12 to 14 meetings a week. That's a lot, but that also gives people the opportunity to connect with whatever group speaks to them. So we have a technical writer group, we have a designers group, we have a project managers group, and those folks meet all the time. We also want to make it known that these are things that we want. Like we love these contributions, and it's not just like, oh, if you want to, that's fine. No, we want you. Like this is a big piece of what makes this important, is communicating the fact and being enthusiastic about those contributions, not just like, okay, great, thanks, see you later. No, we want you. We want you to come be a part of Chaos. And then of course, being open to those folks who are new to open source. I'll talk about this in a little bit, but I feel like that is a big piece of the potential contribution pool that gets overlooked quite a lot. So if we look at the first challenge, how do we create opportunities of all kinds? Well, again, you know, it's the community's effort, not just mine. So if you come to Chaos and you say, hey, I want to make a video about how to use Augur, which is one of our pieces of software that we use, we will say, awesome, please do that. Like, you don't need permission, right? Like, you can come to our project. If you have an idea for something and it's not code, that's great. It's code adjacent. That's totally awesome. If you're a project manager and you come to Chaos and you say, how can I help? Well, let me point you then to our working group, that is the project managers working group, and they will help you figure out what opportunities work with you and what you're interested in and what your skills are. That is really our goal. If you come to Chaos, we want to find your home. So we also try to share those opportunities inside and outside of the community. So sometimes we'll share things on LinkedIn. Hey, we're looking for people to work on this project. You know, we need project managers, we need designers, we need whatever. Like, come with us, come build this with us. And then of course we really do want those newcomers to find their home, especially if they're new to open source. You know, if we're going to be their first experience, well then I really hope that they have a good one. Because if they don't, now they're gone from open source altogether. And I don't want that. I want people to come and join the open source movement. And if they stay with Chaos, awesome. If they go somewhere else, that's also awesome. Like, we just want them to have a good experience. So tracking and measuring, that's a challenge, right? So this is a community effort that we've started. We have, this is just an experiment, and it is not perfect, but it's moving us off 0, which is really our goal at Chaos, just like, let's move off 0, and then we'll iterate. So we have a communitycontributions.md file, and it's just a big, long list of all of the contributions that people are making. And we have an issue template that if you come to our community repo and you fill this out, then it automatically adds you to this file, adds your contribution to this file. So now you've gotten your green square on your GitHub contribution graph. It's counted, it's collected, we know about it now. But it takes everybody to add their own. So it's a community effort. So again, it's not perfect, but we're trying it. We've started it. I'll let you know next year how that's going. And then in the working groups, we were thinking about how do we track these things. So we work on metrics. You know, that's what we do. We talk about metrics. So one of our metrics is types of contributions. And we think a lot about what that means and what those contributions could be. And sometimes it takes surveying the community, your own community, if you don't know. You know, that's also a valid way to get data. And then, of course, we're constantly reminding people and enforcing people that these are important contributions and we don't want them to get lost. We don't want them to not feel like they're counted or valuable or important. So we're constantly reminding people to add your contributions. Don't forget. We do it all the time. And then for newcomers who are new to open source, this is a really good way for them to just kind of get their feet wet, right? Like, they can't break anything. They can't hurt anything. Just go and fill this issue template out. And now you've had a little taste of what that process looks like. You can see what that process is in a pretty easy way. The third one is acknowledging and celebrating and recognizing. So we have this thing called Chaotic of the Week, and anyone can nominate anyone else to be Chaotic of the Week. It's not just me. It has been me. I have nominated a lot of people, but I don't see, you know, we have 2,300 people in our community. So I don't want it to just be me. I don't see everything. You know, I don't know what all is going on in the far corners of the project. So it is a community effort. Everybody is responsible for helping each other and recognizing each other. And then within our working groups, they will also recognize contributions from within that group as well. That's a big piece of it. If you're leading one of those groups, that's a big piece of what you need to do. And then we celebrate. Whenever we have a Chaotic of the Week, we celebrate it. We celebrate it on Slack with everybody in our general channel. We celebrate it on LinkedIn. We let everybody know that this is somebody who's done great work within Chaos, may or may not be code, doesn't matter. We love them. They've done a great job. We really appreciate all the time that they've spent hanging out with us, volunteering their time and energy to be with us. And then this part, I will admit, so we do include newcomers. Like, there's no criteria for being Chaotic of the Week. Like, if you're brand new, you do something awesome, that's great. But I would like for us to be better at recognizing those first contributions. We've not been great at that. So that is something that I will be working on personally. Because that's really the most, the most important contribution of all, is someone's first contribution. Right? So I feel badly that we've not done a great job at that. So I'll be working on that for sure. And then finally, how do we educate everybody about all these things, all these moving parts of Chaos? Because there's a lot of them that are going on within Chaos. We have a ton of smaller projects and other things going on. So we started this education project, which is a community-wide project again, not just me. It's some of our project managers are running it. Anybody within Chaos can create a video, can write a document, can do whatever they want to do that helps somebody understand something else. And it all goes into a repo we call our education repo. And eventually it will get into a learning management system. So we'll have a Chaos University. You can just go through. We're using Moodle. I think they actually have a booth right out here. So we're working on getting that posted. But it is a community-wide effort to work on this. And the project manager has been working on this for a while. And it is like wrangling some cats sometimes. You know, people agree to do something and then don't do it, like me. I said, yeah, I'll do an intro to Chaos video, no problem. And that was about 6 months ago, and I still haven't done that. So sorry, peculiar wherever you are, I'm sorry. But it is a community-wide project. It's not just for our technical writers. It's not just for the maintainers. It's everybody. And then each working group has been working on ways to onboard their own people. So it's like a little mini project going on within Chaos. So for example, our technical writer group, they are doing a whole lot with a Hacktoberfest right now. So they have a lot of like onboarding calls. They're having some document scavenger hunt, so you can find something that needs to be improved, and then they'll help you figure out how to get that fixed and how you can fix it. So each individual working group is also taking responsibility for that onboarding experience, which I think is really great, because I can do what I can, but I'm just one person. So it's definitely better if the whole community is involved. We also try to communicate at conferences. We are out a lot. I don't travel that much, but we have a lot of chaotics who do, and who give talks at conferences and who reinforce that, yes, we want these kinds of contributions. We want you to come help us create these practitioner guides in our data science working group. Like, that is something that we are very excited about, and we want you to help us build those. And the best thing about newcomers to your project is that they are the perfect subject matter experts at being a newcomer, right? I've been in the project a while, I've been in open source a while, so I can guess what I think you would need to know to be in the project, but the newcomers can tell you exactly what questions they have, what's not clear, how they can, and you can use them to make your documentation or make your onboarding experience better. So that is a perfect way for them to immediately start contributing to your project. And I just want to do a few quick myth-busting recaps. So the first myth, I'm sure people who has heard this, that code contributions are the most important, right? A few of you have. And I will say that is busted, because I don't agree with that at all. I think all of the things that designers do, that technical writers do, that community managers do, project managers, accessibility experts, developer advocates, all of these folks are giving contributions that are equally important, if not more in some cases, right? Code cannot exist in a vacuum. Who has heard this before? People must earn the right to contribute. I think that is kind of a gatekeepy way to manage an open source project, because I don't believe that that's true. I think that anybody has value to give to your project right away. I don't think they need to earn the right to contribute. Everyone has something great that they can give to your project. So that's busted. And then finally, it's too much work to bring newcomers up to speed, especially if they're not open or not familiar with open source. And again, I would say this is absolutely not true. We have, like I said before, a large part of our community is brand new to open source, and it just takes a little bit of a nudge, a little bit of attention, and they can just bring such wonderful new perspectives to your open source project. If you are not looking at this group of folks who are brand new to open source, if you decide you don't have time for that, they need to know about open source before they come to you, you are missing out on a huge potential, a huge pool of awesome people who are excited and enthusiastic and ready to learn and ready to jump in. Like, these are the people, this is the next phase of open source, right? So we need to be those stewards. It's very, very important, and it is not too much work. They absolutely have something to give right away. So that's it for me. Thank you very much. I'll be over at the Chaos booth if you want to say hi and chat for a little bit, so I can give you some stickers.